20th year from non-Hodgkin's
You got it?
lymphoma. So
Okay, I'm
please
not touching it.
welcome
I'll take
Maren
one still picture.
for her nice little speech for us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Turn it off. Oh. Get in there, turn it off. Testing? Okay, here we go. Hello. My name is Maren, and I am a 20-year survivor of stage 3 diffuse large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I originally called Cindy last fall to plan a visit to the hospital where I started my treatment when I realized that St. Luke's is a little different than the place that I remember after some upgrades to the medical campus. Cindy then invited me to speak here today after hearing some of the details of my cancer journey, and I'm so grateful to be able to celebrate survivorship with all of you here today. So, I'd like to share my cancer journey with you. Back in 2005, I was a 22-year-old college student living in Canton, New York at my sorority's off-campus house, Pi Nu Epsilon, and also was working part-time when I came down with a respiratory infection that just wouldn't go away. I went to my regular doctor for help and was sent home with an antibiotic in the hope that I would heal so I could get back to my regular, busy life. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Timing is a little fuzzy, but I remember going back to school and work, living with my sisters, and I just kept getting sicker and sicker. I ended up taking a leave from school and getting lightly teased by my sisters about it, as I was the oldest living in the house. But deep down, I knew something was seriously wrong. I went to my boyfriend's house, and I remember feeling weak and collapsing in his living room. His sister was an EMT and called for a rescue squad to bring me to the ER. After being examined, I was almost sent home without a definite diagnosis, and then the attending doctor thought to order a chest x-ray before deciding any further treatment. Surprise, I had a 9-centimeter tumor in the middle of my chest and a sac of fluid around my heart. I vaguely remember being brought up to a room, being admitted, and I think at that time, blood work and other test results gave the doctors the actual reason for my symptoms: cancer. I'm not sure how aware of this I was, but I remember my dad, who's here with me today, being with me and noting how well that I took that news. I don't remember. I was hospitalized for a few days while a plan was made for treatment. The decision to transport me to Faxton, St. Luke's was, I think, largely made due to having family in the area and it being a relatively close hospital to our home in St. Lawrence County. My father is a Utica native, and I still had a few family members on his side living here, which would make it easier for my family to have extended stays with me, depending on what transpired over the next days or weeks. I remember seeing my mom as I was brought into the St. Luke's emergency room after a long, backwards-facing ambulance ride from Ogdensburg, and despite being a little out of it and confused, being grateful that she was there to support me. My parents traded shifts to be with me. My mom was a homemaker, and my dad taught high school social studies and coached varsity boys basketball. 2 of my siblings were living out of the house away at college, and I had a teenage brother still living at home. Surgery was attempted to remove the tumor, and I woke up from that surgery with the tumor still in my chest and hooked up to a ventilator for over a week after my lung collapsed. Obviously, I have no real memory of that time, but I have relied on details from family and friends. I was communicating with everyone with pen and paper. My ability to speak was obviously impaired. The first of 8 chemotherapy treatments was completed, and my only memory of that was the effect on my stomach. I had family and high school friends make the trek from Ogdensburg to visit me, and I'm so grateful for that display of support during the scariest time of my life. I have some memories after being taken off of the ventilator, cards and flowers being delivered, and family staying by my side. I remember one night specifically when my dad had just left for the night to stay at the Buck Apartments here in Whitesboro with his mom, my grandmother. And I had asked the nurse to call him to come back because I was terrified and sad, having hallucinations as a result of the pain medication while being on the ventilator. Daffy Duck made an appearance, and I was yelling at him. When my dad came back, we were talking. My voice was just above a whisper as a result of being on the ventilator, which lasted months. And I remember asking him what would happen if I didn't continue with the chemotherapy. He said very matter-of-factly, "Marin, you'll die." Well, I didn't want that to happen, but I was scared of what was to come. I didn't really have a frame of reference for seeing someone close to me battle cancer, and I was so young. But I knew that I didn't want to die at 22. I was discharged with a plan to see the oncologist at the cancer center, conveniently located in my hometown of Ogdensburg. Walking in there for the first time was terrifying, but everyone from the receptionists to the nurses to the social workers and the oncologist slowly became family over the next year of chemotherapy treatments. To this day, I still call one of my nurses' moms and see others in passing at the grocery store. My father had gone to my sorority house to update my sisters on my diagnosis and moved all of my belongings back home to Ogdensburg. This was a humbling experience for a newly independent young adult who didn't see the curveball that life had thrown her coming. I continued chemotherapy, doing a full day of treatment once every 3 weeks, and looking back at it now, I'm grateful it wasn't more often. I needed every bit of that time in between treatments for recovery. The medical team told me that if I was going to get cancer at 22, I got a good one, meaning there was a treatment that worked and a high percentage of full recovery. Well, all right, if you say so. Chemotherapy was brutal, and I was the youngest person in the cancer center by at least 20 years. I made friends with a fellow patient in her 50s and regret that I lost touch with her shortly after. I was in and out of the hospital with lots of nausea and pain as a result of the chemo, called R-CHOP, if anyone's a lymphoma survivor. I learned the definition of neutropenia, low white blood cells, and found medications that helped with the side effects. A few treatments were delayed due to hospital stays, where I felt like I was in a Lurleen McDaniel book, if anyone here gets that reference. If not, it was a popular series of stories about terminally ill teenagers. I met so many kind nurses in the ER and on the floor, and a longtime family friend was in a position of power at the hospital. So she'd sneak me out of my hospital room at night and let me hang out in her office. Shh, don't tell anyone. She's my neighbor now, and we reminisce of that time often. I'm also still close with one of the nurses who took care of me, who is actually my age, and it's inspiring to see how far she's gone in her nursing career. Online support groups made me feel less alone, and I was connected to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society based in New York City. They had a peer-to-peer support program and connected me with a fellow survivor named Beth, who called to check in with me every few weeks or so. I was so grateful that I could have no filter and explain exactly how I was feeling to someone who actually understood it. I had plenty of family and friends supporting me, but there's something different about talking to someone with that extra level of understanding. I attended a few support groups at the Cancer Center in Ogdensburg, and the in-person talking was very helpful, giving me a sense of community. My high school guidance counselor's wife was also going through treatment at that time and invited me to a fun event with Look Good, Feel Better in Potsdam. We were given bags of name brand makeup and taught how to apply it step by step. I was never big into makeup, but that day definitely boosted my mood after losing all of my hair during chemotherapy. Hair loss for a woman in her 20s was a different kind of trauma. I remember the progression of it falling out, and then deciding on a haircut, and then finally making the leap to shave it all off. That process was an emotional one. I remember my hairdresser starting with a line down the center of my head, and I burst into tears. She asked me if I wanted her to stop, which was obviously ridiculous at that point. Kelly is an angel and still cuts my hair to this day. I I rocked some pretty headscarves during that time, donated by friends, and even tried a wig after a fundraiser by my sorority sisters. It was extremely itchy, and I didn't use it for long. I didn't realize how many events were out there to support cancer patients and their families, some specific to certain cancers, and other more general to encompass all types. My dad and I went to our first local fundraising walk for cancer patients and their families, and it was nice to again find a community of people that got it. So, fast forward to March of 2006, and I completed my last chemotherapy treatment, and shortly thereafter had a clean PET scan. Wow, was that a great feeling.
Yeah.
I started to get out of the house more and found some part-time work at my old high school in the superintendent's office. I enjoyed clerical work with the secretaries and had fun being distracted from my health struggles. After that, I was itching to get out on my own again and found an apartment locally and got back to school part-time. Periodic check-ins and scans brought anxiety and high emotion, but every time things came back okay and the lymphoma stayed gone, I could breathe with my friend Ned, or no evidence of disease. Full circle came in fall of 2007 when I went back to school full-time and moved back into my sorority house. I was older, with some sisters I knew and some new girls, but warmly welcomed, and I was able to complete a year certificate program while also encouraging some cancer-related philanthropy for us to do. At that time, May of 2008, the world was my oyster, and I relocated again, this time to the Albany area, and found a temporary job at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in their school and youth program, making phone calls to area schools for the Pennies for Patients fundraising program. I loved it, and I was sad when it ended, but I stayed connected with everyone there and still go back yearly for the Light the Night Walk, currently held on Siena College's beautiful campus. It's a reminder of where I started and a celebration of where I currently am. Other opportunities for connection came from that as well. I attended support groups and other fun events like cooking classes and workouts at Gilda's Club, now merged with the American Cancer Society, in Latham. I found a young adult cancer community through Camp Good Days and Special Times in Rochester, and was able to meet other young adult survivors with varying cancer diagnoses. We had meetings at coffee shops and at the camp offices in Mendon, New York, attended conferences with lots of guest speakers, and even got to spend some time at Disney World together as counselors for the younger campers. Those connections led me to find I2Y, I'm Too Young for This, founded by Matthew Zachary in New York City. He's a brain cancer survivor, diagnosed in his 20s, now in his 50s. The young adult cancer patient community seems to be the most overlooked, with a unique set of issues and needs that he has served well. Another group I need to mention is First Descents, founded by Brad Ludden in Colorado. I was blessed to be able to attend a week-long trip to Sweetwater, near Vail, to whitewater kayak down the Colorado River with other young adult survivors, some of whom I'm still in contact with today. I remember being the first one to flip over in calm water, practicing for the rapids. And during a game where we had to make our way around the circle of kayaks by walking on top of them, I declared, I never back down from a challenge. That Colorado air made me brave, apparently. Side note, the elevation messed with my body, so I had a short stay at the hospital in Vail during that trip. The view out of my window was beautiful, but I was sad to miss part of that week. My fellow survivors were very supportive and cheered for me after returning to camp for our graduation rapids and a campfire. So, as much as cancer burst my young adult bubble, it also gave me some pretty cool experiences. Bowling in New York City with First Descents led to an introduction to Ryan and Trista Sutter, if anyone here is a Bachelor or a Bachelorette fan. You'll recognize Trista as the first Bachelorette. They were the sweetest people and friends with the director of First Descents, helping him with philanthropy efforts. 2026 Marin is now a single mom living back in St. Lawrence County with my beautiful teenage daughter who does light the night walk with me and insists on doing her own fundraising, bragging to her friends about her mom, the survivor.
Good for you.
We have unbirthday cake on my cancerversary every year, and I am so blessed that chemotherapy didn't take away my ability
Wow.
to have a biological child.
Yeah.
She is my biggest blessing in life, and she's here with me today.
Yeah.
Hi, Delaney.
Stand up. Stand up. Come on. Come on. Yeah. She's good. Yeah.
To anyone here that is currently fighting or newly diagnosed, I'd like to share with you empathy for where you are in your cancer journey and my support. Cancer is a word, not a sentence. There are kind, knowledgeable people among us that are here to help in any way that you are comfortable with. I see the advances in treatment even in the last 20 years since my own diagnosis. Any emotion that you are currently feeling or will feel is completely normal. Be your own advocate if you are able, or find that in someone you trust. It's so important to speak up if you don't understand medical jargon or any part of your treatment options. I surely learned that through my journey and am more at ease speaking up for myself and my daughter with medical concerns. I am going to leave you with a challenge today that is also for myself. Speak with someone new today, which I've already done with my table of wonderful ladies over there. Share with them parts of my story that stuck with you, or parts of your own that you haven't told anyone yet. Melinda Gates said, "Deep human connection is the purpose and the result of a meaningful life, and it will inspire the most amazing acts of love, generosity, and humanity." Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you all today.